What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the edition of the Vicktory Life Legacy Podcast. I'm your host, owner, and founder of Vicktory Life, Dwight Vick. And today I got a great panel. It's been a while since I've done a panel, really not since about 2 years. So I got three professionals I got for the job, three guys I got a lot of admiration and respect for as coaches and as men, especially one in particular. Carlos Poindexter from Hayfield basketball is here. A few years ago, I was joking before I had record that he was one of the first people 5 years ago to get a Vicktory Life hoodie when the Vicktory Life movie started. And everybody around the way was giving me hate, joking with me because he had the orange and black hoodie. And they were saying, yo, how you going to give the op a special limited edition hoodie? I said, no, that's how it worked out. But we got Carlos here, finally got a chance to jump on this show from Hayfield High School basketball hoops. Sherman Rivers, who coached my son, and so many other great players like Los. He's at Patriot High School, as you know, a familiar guest on the Vicktory Life Legacy Podcast and Spotlight. And a second-time attendee, my guy from the great Potomac High School basketball head coach, Anthony Mills. Gentlemen, how you guys doing?
Doing good, brother. Good, man. Good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, man. First time on the show. Happy about it.
Yes, finally. We've been talking for 3 years, but every time something came up with my schedule, your schedule, but it's God's plan. The timing is always good, man. And of course, this won't be your last time on, man. But I always watch you on other platforms, especially when you and Sherman get on. It's always fireworks. You kind of lay low, but then I'll be seeing you and Sherman make eye contact. You know what I'm saying? So the last one y'all did with Julian was good because that was actually really good because y'all were just talking about a lot of hot topics. And tonight we're going to kind of do a similar thing.
And we end up being right about all them drinks too.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
The Grand Hill, that was a good one. Grand Hill versus Jordan Scott. We're going to do that, man. I'm not trying to get no emails, but even though y'all know where I stand. Let's talk about your seasons. All three of you guys had another great season. None of y'all accomplished the goal you wanted to win states, as far as the state championship. Sherman always says only really one team is going to be happy at the end of the season. But at the same time, once again, you guys met and in some cases exceeded standards with your play as far as your players on the court and what you guys got out of them. Let's start with a recap of the season, man, because I know right now that we're in that gray area. It's spring, getting ready to be graduation. But then again, I was talking to Sherman at the 7-on-7s, summer league's getting ready to start. And the next thing you know, it's going to be fall league. So before we get into the future, let's talk a little bit about what happened this past season. Anthony, I'll give you the floor first, man. Give a recap of your season. What was really exciting? What stood out? And then also some things that really bothers you or some things that fell short.
I'm guessing right now about what my record was. I think we might have been like 18-7 or 5. I'm not for sure because after we lost, I kind of go into a dungeon. And I think we had a decent year, and I think I've talked to probably Los and Sherman throughout the year, and say like we're experienced, but we're still young on the basketball court. And I think that showed up. We ended up winning the regular season district, and then ended up losing in the district championship to Forest Park, and then we turned around and lost after that to Gainesville in the first round of region. So it didn't like Sherman pitched on, or you said before, the end goal is to try to win every championship that's put out there, But I do think that throughout this whole year, my guys were battle tested. We played Oscar Smith, we played Westfield, we played quite a few other teams that challenged us. I don't think we played up to our potential, but I also see the difference between a team that's been there and a team that's just getting there, and we're not being held on the back of like Kenny Shoes and Terrence. We don't have those guys. So those guys now that we're only getting like 5 to 10 minutes are now getting like 26 minutes. And, I'm no longer looking down to the end of the bench to find somebody else. You are the one to get it done. So, even though we didn't finish well, I'm still returning a lot of guys. And we'll be just as competitive again. Just a lot more experience, a lot more tougher. Stronger bench, so I think we'll, have another good year coming up. Like I said, and it makes you hungry too when you don't win and you don't accomplish what you need to accomplish. And it also humbles kids, but now they have to go back and listen to what we're talking about as coaches. So, I'm hoping to have a good year next year. We finished the year decent, but to Potomac standards, Oh man, that's emails and texts all day, you know, on how you didn't get the job, on how you didn't get the job done, and I'm, you know, I got to remind myself that it's only my third year going into it, but you know, at Potomac, you got to win every day, every minute, every second, no matter who it is, or you know, you get alumni saying, "Oh man, this should have been done like this should have been done like that." I said, "Okay, well, you know, it's only year 3. What I'm supposed to do in year 4? I guess I got to win the Super Bowl in year 4."
No, you know, sure. It's crazy. It's crazy, man. I've been in Northern Virginia for 25 years, but before I watched Sherman play when he played my alma mater 2 years in a row when he gave Hampton work his sophomore year when Ronald Curry and those guys were trying to repeat. And from that moment on, around that time, I was very familiar with Potomac basketball, man. Like, man, you and I talked, man, and I'm being respectful. I mean, to me, what Los has done is historic and legendary, but you know, at the same time, man, Potomac is being a 757 guy. I've been familiar with them for decades. You talking about D1, D2 players, you know, the pit, is that what they call it? The pit? Yeah, it was known. It was known. I remember I met Roland Roberts at Virginia Tech. That was my guy. And I mean, he was talking about me, you know, how when you're in college, you just sit around, you chop it up like we had this, we had that. I seen Potomac give my guys, my brothers, Brett Harper and Marseille Brown, work. That's two of the best guards in VHSL history. So it's, you know, you are, which is going to lead me to my point to you, Los, like, get a recap of your season. You and I were talking a few summers ago, Los, and you were like, yo, I like this. And I said to you, I said, you know, it's tough because you are a prisoner of the expectations you created. Right. And you were like, that's a bar, Vic. And I said, you are, because you have created these expectations. Right. State championship or bust. But people don't look at transfers, which we're going to get into later, and roster movement, and a kid being eligible, an unfortunate injury. They just expect, if David King and them boys did it, we're going to do it again. Right. Y'all got talent. And how did this last season go for you, and how did you manage those expectations?
I think, our season was okay. I mean, I felt like I had the talent to win it again. But, you know, we didn't take care of business when it was time to take care of business. So, like, you know, we ended up losing to Woodson in the regional championship game. So that means we had to go to South Lakes versus playing on a neutral floor or them coming to us. You know what I mean? So, and they ended up beating Westfield. So it was just one of them type of things. Because I'm thinking at the end of the game, I was like, oh, we're going to play Westfield. Because Westfield's been dominant. I don't want to say dominant, but they were beating them pretty handily during the regular season and then district play. So I thought that we were going to play them, and then, you know, probably 10 minutes later, we got a text or a call saying that South Lakes won. And, you know, going over to South Lakes is going to be it's a tough environment to play in. You know, with Kyrie one, you know, it's a tough environment to play in. So, you know, we didn't take care of business, and we ended up losing the state quarterfinals. But I think overall, our season was solid, but we didn't, you know, for us to get to the state semis the year before, where everyone thought that it was over for Hayfield. Like, people thought Hayfield was done after the big 3 left. So the fact that we got to the state semis the previous year, we got to the state quarters this past year. You know, I mean, I'm not happy, but, you know, I'm satisfied with how we've competed over the past few years since those guys have left.
Los, do you check? And I'm just asking this, man, because I've been curious to ask you, because you and I talk, and I see everything because I'm in the media and I'm everywhere, right? Right. When you hear the whispers, you know, you heard, you know, your colleague and, you know, your brother Ant talk about emails and text messages of falling short to the Potomac expectations. Do you like store and keep receipts of the comments on Twitter and Facebook groups when people talk real slick about? Because I see it and I'm like, I wonder if you saw that. You know,
I don't. The funny thing about it, unless somebody like really like text me or they screenshot it to me, I don't really see a lot of stuff. But like, I know Facebook be going crazy. So like every now and then, you know, I go tap in over there and see what's going on. But you know, it was just a lot of unnecessary stuff was being talked about Hayfield basketball this year, and it didn't really have anything to do with basketball. It was just being a part of what was going on over at Hayfield. So, you know, it was a negative light tried to be shined on Hayfield basketball as well. And, you know, it wasn't even the case. You know, we have who we have on our team.
Was that hard? Because I watch from a distance. I'm not in Alex, but I'm in there a lot for my business, Vicktory Life, but I'm everywhere. But watching it unfold, and from when the news was announced that Daryl Overton was going to be the Hayfield football coach, the nastiness, the racial overtones, the negativity, like real talk. Did that bother you to the point where it was like you gathered your team and said, yo, be careful, don't respond? Because it kind of really blew up. You had the Fairfax Times talking crazy, right, but you also had a lot of adults that took a chance to take a shot at the basketball program.
Yeah, which was a lot of wild comments about that.
Yeah.
But I say, I don't think that, my fault. I don't think that I took it any type of way, but it just is what it is. It comes with the territory. Mm-hmm. But I feel like our kids did a good job of just not really paying attention to it, or when we did talk about it, we just talk about it when we were together. But other than that, man, we just trying to hoop.
Yeah. It is. It's just that, a lot of people get real slick on these social media accounts, man, and then in person.
Yeah, my sister, the one that she sees a lot of it though, because she be, she's always trying to protect me. So like she be seeing a lot of what people be saying and just telling me to watch my back because it be some crazy stuff going on. And I guess it's like some underground thing that Fairfax County has.
Fairfax Underground. I've known it for years, but people talk real crazy.
Yeah, people talk crazy on that, and like they were saying some crazy stuff about me on there. But it is what it is.
Yeah, I always feel like when people are talking about you, it means you're relevant. Whether it's good or bad, because that means you're living rent free in their posts and their DMs and the group chats. Because people like yourselves, all three of y'all going to be mentioned in group chats. Because of what you do on and off the court. So. Right. Good for y'all for handling it the right way, because it's not always easy, even for me. Yeah. So, Sherman, you guys had another great season. They buried y'all this offseason. They said you lost, 7 seniors, 2 really legendary players as far as Patriots concerned. 3 Desmond. You lost some talent. 2 of those guys were 4-year varsity players, in Desmond Hopkins and mm-hmm. A lot of people said you would be lucky to get out the region. We all kind of anticipated that Potomac Patriot showdown like we've been seeing the last 4 years. Unfortunately, Anthony's team took a tough loss to Gainesville, but a lot of people felt like you guys were going not on the come up, but on the way down, and then you got to the state quarterfinals. But mm-hmm. How did that whole thing progress? Because you made it clear on different podcasts, including when I would check in with you. You were very honest, like the other 2 guys. You said, hey, Vic, we're not very good.
Man, listen, and these 2 could tell you that I said it to them too. I can't tell you how many times I talked to them on the phone. I said, and I had a little bit more colorful language to it. And we were not a good basketball team. And it wasn't because we weren't talented. And that was the part that is hard to explain to other people when, like, it's your guys. Because they're just seeing how it looks like there. But it's like, these kids are super talented. They just play really dumb basketball. You know what I'm saying? And it's not because it's like they're dumb. It's because they just really hadn't learned how to play the best way for them to be able to be successful. Like, and it was just, it just like was a bunch of individuals playing their own song. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it felt like watching them play basketball. So like simple things like driving kicks wouldn't happen because they were all so centered on trying to prove that it's their time to take those guys that you mentioned's places. And so it's hard to stay within the realm of being a good teammate and playing the right way, making the right play, while also going for yours when it's time to go for yours, because you don't know how to balance that yet. And they were trying to find it, and they were doing it in all the wrong ways. And it was frustrating, and there were some times I was like, man, I don't know if we're ever going to figure this out. And, to their credit, they just kept plugging away. They kept taking the coaching. Their parents kept letting us coach them, And, it just was one of those things that once we got into the season, you start to see a little bit because I felt more comfortable being able to coach them, every day at that point. And then, our schedule is our schedule. I didn't mean for it to be as tough as in years past, but I guess I can't help myself. So, we open up going down to South Carolina for 3 games, in a place we ain't never been before against private schools. And then Obviously we played a couple other really tough teams to start. I mean, we were at South Lakes and played there. So, it was one of those things that they were going to grow up at some point in time, hopefully in the right ways and learning it the right way. And once they kind of got it, it clicked. We won a lot of games in a row. And then they, had a hiccup in Gainesville, much improved program and team got us right before the end of the regular season, which, might have been a good thing because it refocused them and they went back doing things the right way and made a run through the district and won that. And, that was nice to get that again, obviously the regular season and the district tournament. And then obviously winning the region again for the fourth time in a row was a big deal for that group because, like you said, people can say whatever they want, but no one thought we were going to do that. And so to get back and to get back to the state tournament and be one of the last 8 teams to be playing again, for what, 4th, 5th year in a row, I'll take it.
No doubt. Again, the expectations you guys create are the reasons why you have people that talk about you and they get disappointed when you don't, except for the people that don't want to see y'all win. Speaking of that, let's talk about the platform that you guys are coaching. I'm a 757 guy, but I'm a Virginia guy. I moved up here 25 years. I love Northern Virginia, lived some in Southwest Virginia. Obviously, I went to Virginia Tech. So I'm a Virginia guy. I'm very familiar with a lot of talent outside of 757. One of the biggest things I noticed when I moved up here after being cut from the Ravens was I lived in Fairfax for a year. I was coaching at Parkview High School. I was all over Nova. And I realized very quickly, I took the 757 hat off and I was like, damn, it is some talent up here, right? However, that was the early 2000s into 2010 and so on. It's a different age. The talent is still there. You guys like Nathan Mint and all these other kids all across the DMV. But public school basketball and football has been catching heat the last 6 to 7 years. There's a notion right now that public school basketball, not football, it's the same for them, but we're talking basketball right now, is in danger because you have a lot of coaches leaving, retiring prematurely or for their own personal reasons. You have the VHSL, which continues to create some of the craziest rules. You have state championships occurring with 2 teams in the same region. It's just the dynamics compared to when you 3 played is weird. Almost like who is making these rules? I'm just going to ask you guys this straight up. Is public school basketball, anybody can answer, then after that you can follow. Is public school basketball in trouble? And how do you, 2-part question, and how do you keep it relevant, especially in the DMV? Because I'm one of those guys, I believe the DMV, just like Jay Wright said, the DMV is where it's at. My son's been taking college visits. Every coach we talk to, every coach is like DMV, and they mean Virginia, DC, and Maryland. So the talent is there, but public school is surrounded by the WCAC, which is the best private school conference, best basketball conference in the nation. But you got your Hayfields, your Potomacs, and your Patriots, and your South Lakes. So how do you guys keep public school basketball going, and is it in danger?
I don't think now it's in danger. There are some things that aren't helping. I did think, and Mills, you can kind of quote me on this because me and you used to have these conversations a lot when I first got to Patriot about, like, what can we do to kind of get the juice back into it? You know what I'm saying? Because at that point, I felt it wasn't the excitement that was there before. You had a lot of the kids that weren't there. It wasn't kind of like some household names that people knew. And I remember thinking then, like, man, we got to start doing some stuff. And, the funny thing about it is people can say whatever they want. The 3 of us got a lot to do with a lot of that juice that came with it. And I'm not just talking about the products that we're putting on the floor, because these guys are great coaches and we've had some good teams as well. But just the extra stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like the graphic design type of stuff, the Midnight Madness type of stuff. Like you go to a Hayfield game, they got the light show when you come out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yes.
And so, I know, like, Mills, what they got, the stuff they do there, like with the pit and all that. And, we started doing, like, our stuff that we did with the Pandemonium and, with a lot of the highlight videos that started coming and the documentaries that were coming, it takes us as coaches, and listen, I ain't gonna lie to you, it's annoying at times. You got to put that effort into that. You got to. It can't be just the product is going to sell itself now, like when we were younger or in the 90s. Like, like you said, you talking about coming and watching those players, Vic, that's just from word of mouth. That wasn't because you was on social media and someone told you got to come see this guy. That's because the people that didn't get into the game said you need to go watch this kid play. So it's not that time anymore because you got so many spread out regions and districts, and the old rivalries that were before might not be because they're not in the same district or region anymore. So a lot of factors with that. You got the, I'm not going to say assault, but obviously the private schools coming in, taking a lot of that top talent out of it. You know what I'm saying? That would be those guys that people kind of grew up watching, like, man, I can't wait to see this kid come play at this school type of thing. So if you don't have the juice as yourself as a coach with your program, it's going to go by the wayside. You know what I'm saying? So, there's a lot of things we can do as coaches and as programs to help that. And, the first thing is like us playing against each other. It helps. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of coaches got away from that for a while, trying to make their records look certain ways. It is what it is, man. Like, we all play at some point. Let's just make it happen. Like you said, like Mills and them played Westfield this year. Me and Lowe's, always play a tough schedule. We usually play, at some point in time. Like, I'm telling you, like, guys call you, like, hey, let's get it. Like, and it wasn't happening before. Like, guys weren't doing that. You're like, why this team ain't playing this team? Like, I remember when I was in high school, Gonzaga came to Potomac.
That's crazy.
Like, that's what I'm saying. So
that's
like,
crazy.
Like, so that happened back then. So like now, like I feel like we're starting to get back into it where there's some public schools like, man, these dudes can play. We got to go play them on a neutral court or whatnot. So you got Los playing that game when he played on what's called Wilson up in there in that game when they played. Or we went down and played John Marshall. You know what I'm saying? Like you play Oscar Smith this past year, Mills, and like during Christmas. Like you getting these type of matchups that the people kind of need, but you got to tell them it's happening.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It ain't just they're not going to look at the paper and see the schedule for the week and see, oh, Friday, I got to be here.
Yeah, that's true.
Like they need the information and we got to give it out there. It's just, talking when coaches are in your gym. Hey, listen, you might not like it. It is what it is. You got to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because like you said, kids want to know that type of stuff's happening at the school. The parents of those kids want to know that type of stuff's happening.
Yeah, you got to treat it like you got to put. I mean, as a coach, you got to. I mean, the coaching comes second now. It's been like that too, but it's really almost in like third, second, third, and you just got to jump out there and do the thing that's unexpected. I mean, like you said, social media, you got to have camera guys. You got to put, so it's not even just coaching anymore. Like all you coaches can say, you got somebody that runs your media page. You got somebody that's doing your highlights. You got somebody that's doing this. So it's almost turned into a big, like you see everybody that has the big staff, but all those staff members are working because there's extra things to be done. And you can't be afraid to get out there and make a mistake. So, I mean, I know like one thing for us, we have a DJ at every home game. Right, and that's just trying to recreate that old atmosphere Potomac has. But it's just saying every time that you show up, no matter when it is, it's going to be a party. Right?
Yes,
that you want to be there. You know what I'm saying? So, and
that's the type of stuff like you said that we got away from.
Yeah.
Because we just was like, man, they're going to come because they always come.
Exactly.
Well, so
you got to make the student environment want to be there.
Right. I feel like it's us taking a lot of the responsibility for parts of it. And then, like you said, there's a lot of things that they do on VHSL and whatnot that, I mean, they could care less about the product and what we putting out there at times, you know, and it would be nice if some things would be more discussions and talks with, you know, the people that kind of have to deal with the repercussions of the rules being made could happen. And I'm sure that we're going to get some sort of email or phone call about, well, you can come to this, and like, come on, man, like you know exactly what I'm trying to say. So, but it's all good, you know. But at the same time, like it's all the pieces together, because that's the one thing. Like you said, you say you brought the WCAC. Like that's, as much as they might be all competing out here, there's a one force driving that to where it wants to go, as far as pushing the promotion of it and the kids and this and that. And, you know, that's why you have people stay at those jobs forever. You know, you finally see a job like Gonzaga open up after 27 years? You know what I'm saying? You guys can't, like, right now, I'm the most elder person in my district.
Yeah.
And I'm just about to hit year 10. Like, you didn't see that before. You know, so like it just, and you know, it goes along with all the stuff. The support you get from your admin, and what influence they're gonna let outside things happen, or jealousy of people saying this, and like, well, call in and that, and like, hey, either you back us or you don't. So now you got all that factoring into those sorts of things. It's a whole lot that goes into being able to sustain good programs, good products for the people to see, but also doing it in the right way. You know, where it's not, where people feel like they watching a cheated or put together type of product.
I'll add to that too, before you go, Lois. I'll add to that and say, you know, us, and I know because I talk to both of these guys all the time, man. Being in the gym 6 days out of the week, right? That kind of helps with, you know, keeping your kids and not having your program or, you know, school, whatever you want to call it, go to loss. Like, we have to be in the gym 6 days out of the week, right? I mean, or much as possible to have that availability, because if not, that's how your kids end up going elsewhere. You know, and you got to make yourself available as a coach. You know, so like this past weekend, I don't coach an AAU team, but I'm in Hampton. I'm just watching my guys. You know, so I'm out there in Hampton, just going around, just, you know, doing watching. So you have to do that. But I know these guys, and I'm sure it's other coaches as well, but I'm using these guys because they're right here and we all on the Zoom together. But I know Los is coaching. I know Sherman pick up and be at an AAU event, just watching the kids. But you have to make yourself available, and you know that's just where we're at. You know, this day and time.
No doubt.
Just to piggyback on some of the stuff that they were saying. Like, I just know, like, for Hayfield and for everything that, like, I've been doing since I've been at Hayfield, like, I've always made a point to, like, go find the hardest matchup I could possibly find. No matter who it was, whether it's a private school team or a public school team, like, every year, like, whoever was the best, that's what we trying to play. Because before we made it to, you chasing, you trying to get to the mountaintop. So you got to go through these battles in order to do it. And then once you get there, you still got to keep that hunt alive. And that's kind of like how I built, like, our program over at Hayfield, is by going out and play anybody, anywhere, anytime. And it didn't matter who it was, whether it was 4 stars, 5 stars, going to 757. Like, it don't matter. Like, we trying to get the best games possible, so that it's going to, for one, like, I'm always, in the way I look at it, I'm always looking to get film for college, because, like, colleges don't want us seeing us playing versus, and I ain't trying to disrespect my conference. Colleges don't want to see us playing versus some of our guys in our conference. They want to see us play versus Patriot. Like, the Patriot game films that we've had the past few years, those are perfect college films for both squads. Because it's a high level. It's high level on both teams. Both teams guard at a high level. So it looks like an ugly basketball game, but it's two defensive minded teams going at it versus each other, and you got to get into different variations of your offense in order to succeed.
So you had a lot of college basketball players on the floor
at the same time.
You know what I'm saying? Like, playing. So it's like, not saying that our games or our kids are at that level, but it was like, when you were watching that game, like the national championship, and you like, man, this joint kind of ugly. I said, no, it's because it's real big time athletes out here guarding. You know what I'm saying? Like, they are guarding. It's hard to score.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
when you see that, so like you said, in those games, like you said, when coaches ask, or like when we played Potomac in the regional championship, hey, you got film here. Here's this game when I played this team. Here's this game I played that team, like Lo said. My bad, Los. But
No. Los is good. I'm going to tell you I know I'm the moderator, but I'm going to just say this. That's a great point, Los, because me and my son were talking after the season this past, Fork Union, and we were chopping it up, and I was like, dude, you know, in your 4 years in high school, especially post-COVID, your sophomore through senior year, you played Greg Jones, David King, and DJ and them. You played Jaden Harris and them boys over at Potomac and TJ and all them, and Guzman. You played Bullis. You played Jordan Scott twice. I mean, the names. I'm very fortunate, especially that game, because that Potomac Patriot game in the regional semifinal was sold out. The battlefield matchups in those 3 years was sold out. The Hayfield game on y'all ring night ceremony, Los, when y'all went at the buzzer, even though I was disappointed as a father for my son and the Patriot team, I was just sitting there in a moment, and I was looking around, it was packed, and I was like, yo, this is like how it was for me in the 90s, because it was so much talent, and there was just a lot of neutral people there, because it was like, yo, I got to come see this.
You got to come see the game.
I got to come see this, because you had Greg and David King, who was a rebound animal, and DJ and them, and you had the whole, like, Nasir versus your guy, the other point.
Donnie.
Then you had, like, Isaiah versus Greg Jones. You know what I'm saying? And it was just great, and it brought the best out of your reserves, because your reserves played well. Then Sherman had Caden, who no one knew about, stepped up.
That's a fact. He always had somebody step up. Some random guy that nobody ever heard of before.
Just keep him in the creases.
So as a fan, I was loving it. Which brings me to my next question.
But it's like you said.
Go ahead, Sherman.
I think we lost Mills, though. He froze up for a second. But it was like you said, though, Vic, it's like that game, like the South Lakes game we had at our place the next year, you know, those were like games where like the casual fans were going to go. You know what I'm saying? And then like not only that, like how many college coaches either came or wanted to be watching or watched on the network. You know, I can't tell you how many were just at the game watching. You know what I'm saying? And then to have kids go out there and play at a high level, that's the part that's like, all right. And then, like you said, that's on us to put a good product out there. Now, there's a lot of bad basketball out there.
Yeah, it is. And also to say, like, you said is going away from public schools. I feel like hopefully because of the way things are being done at the collegiate level, hopefully that's not the case. And hopefully like some kids that are at private schools who aren't getting the minutes that they need to get continue to come back to their neighborhood schools. And that's going to also help it along with the players that we already have inside the building. So like, you know, just like you talk, I mean, he's not on the call no more, but old boy that came back from O'Connell to Potomac.
Jaden Harris. He came from Bishop Ironton, I believe.
I'm talking about the one that's there now.
Oh, that's Anscott.
Yeah,
Amari, like him coming back, like that helps Potomac. It helps the crowd, it helps all of that. So like you know, and I feel like that's going to continue to happen.
Amani, it's
going to continue to trickle down because players want to play. They don't want to sit on the bench.
No doubt. Yeah. Do you guys get mad? Los, do you get mad? Sherman, you know, when you talk about your district, you guys both played and y'all are competitors. I've seen you both coach in summer leagues and fall leagues. I've seen y'all coach against each other. Do y'all get mad where you're in a district or, you know, you have coaches who are like they're not giving you anything. Luckily, you both, and I know Ann will be joining us shortly, you guys will schedule outside of your district. Would you ever get mad and look around sometimes when you're game planning and say you got a 3-game stretch during the week and only one team is even close to your level? The other 2 teams could be, but you don't look at like, no disrespect, but you're like, yo, what are you, like you watching film, like, what are y'all doing? What is this? This is not going to help us. You know, do you ever get like that? Like, what are we doing? What is this?
I mean, I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes I'm like, man, this is what the game looks like. I can't imagine what practice look like. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I think sometimes when it's like when people put stuff out. Now some things you can't help. You can't help the talents you got and whatnot. It's just you hope that you can get something from each game, and you challenge your kids in different ways. And some games, are going to be better than others. You just try to teach them how to, play how they're supposed to play, regardless of what the competition level is. Because one thing that is for sure is that regardless of how good the teams in our district, region, or wherever they are at, when they play us, they damn sure start making a lot of shots.
Right.
So, because it's their championship, so it don't matter how bad you might think that they are, they playing at another gear when they come for you. Because it's Hayfield, because it's Potomac, because it's Patriot. And then, like you said, we talked about us slipping up at the end of the regular season against Gainesville. The first time they beat us since the school had opened, and you would have thought that was the state championship game, the way that everybody reacted to the winning in the game. And I told our kids, I said, guys, that's how much it meant to them. It didn't mean as much to you. I said, but on the other side of that is that they're celebrating finishing second. And that tells you where we are compared to where other people are at. And then people can take it as disrespect all they want to. It's the fact, So people live in different realms as far as their expectations and the things that you're supposed to do. And if you don't do that, it's looked at differently than when somebody else doesn't do that.
Yeah, yeah. Is there a program? And I'm gonna start with you. Thanks for jumping back on.
Okay.
And I'll ask you this question: is there a program? I know you guys respect each other. You guys have a relationship outside of basketball, and I know there's other coaches y'all rock with as well. But is there a program, whether it's in the DMV, it could be in the 7-5 or 804, a basketball coaching program that maybe doesn't get the same notoriety as your programs? But you see them and be like, yo, that guy can coach, man. That's a good program, man. He just is a few players away. Is there a team, not even on your schedule, that you might check and see on Twitter or something, or like you like, hey, man, that guy can coach. He just doesn't have the same pool of talent.
I think if I would take one as of lately, who I thought, he did really well last year. They didn't do that well this year, but he gets the notoriety. But I would say Tony Bentley is one.
Oh, absolutely.
That comes to mind. He's had really good teams, but I know lately it hasn't been as good as he's usually been. But he's still getting it done over there at Wakefield. If I can think of another one, you're gonna have to give me a second to think of who else may be doing like some great things. That I can, Mac has done a good job his last 2 years.
Forest Park,
Forest Park. They've done a great job. They beat us 2 out of. I've been there for 3 years, so they beat us 2 out of the 3. I think there's tons of coaches that get a lot of credit, maybe behind doors, but a lot of them too we don't really see because they maybe they're not playing a tough schedule.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Mike Barbie from Fairfax. Like that dude, like he can really coach. He don't always have the talent to be at that level, but when he does have any type of talent, like even if he has three guys that can play basketball, he's gonna find different ways to win basketball games. And he's the type of coach that he's going to throw every defense at you there is available.
Wow.
And it's going to make you have to adjust on the fly. And that's one thing that I like about him. Me being like we used to be in the Liberty Conference together, and we used to have some battles back in the day. And I've always respected how he ran his program. And I think he does a hell of a job over there, even though he doesn't get the notoriety. And his teams haven't always been the greatest, but he does a hell of a job of being in that Patriot district and winning some games that he shouldn't be winning because of what he does from a schematic standpoint. So I shout out Mike Barbie for that.
Okay. Sherman, is there anybody comes to mind?
Yeah, man. I think my man over at Freedom South Riding, Anthony Leon over there,
Yeah.
think that he does a really good job, man, with and how he coaches his kids. You know, they gonna run that offensive stuff that they do, and they run it really well. You know what I'm saying? It almost rivals like watching, you know, Kevin Roller and their offense for Madison. And you know that everybody gives Kevin his flowers when it comes to that and how they run that. But as far as running off of it, the curls with the pops and, you know, whatever decision he makes is going to be the wrong decision, you know, and then, like you said, he gets them to guard and play hard, man. Like and not only that, like they got to the district championship, you know, upset Gainesville in the semifinal. And I wouldn't have been shocked, man, if we had been playing them in the regional semifinal, because he just gets his kids to play really hard, and he knows his stuff, his X's and O's. Man, I just always appreciate when we play them. I always feel like it's one of our harder games when people think it's not supposed to be when we play them.
Yeah. You know, all great answer too, man. And you know, the thing about it is that coaching, we focus so much, especially with social media, on the players and the attention they get, rightfully so. But at the same time, I just wanted to ask that question because I feel like it's not a lost art in coaching. It's just that I'm a big fan. I'll go to games with no personal interest and watch. I'll be like, yo, that is a great timeout. Or that's a great trap out of the timeout. I'll be like, man, I would have never, like my son's coach at Fuma this year, they were playing Highland and Nate and those guys and Julian and Jeremy Gorman and were cooking. They got up 19. And, you know, he called a timeout. He went to a 2-3. It was like a hybrid 2-3 zone. Came back and took the lead in the second half. And I was sitting there like, yo, this guy is in his bag. Because I'm like, I would have never went zone against them. But, you know, again, that's why I'm watching. And I just like stuff like that. So I appreciate y'all saying that.
Who did that? Logan or the other coach?
No, Logan was coaching Highland. Isaiah's coach, Bob Williams.
Logan, you saying Coach Williams did that?
Yeah, Coach Williams did that.
Okay.
Yeah, Nate my fault. Nate and them were up 19. And Nate won't even Nate. It was like everybody. Chance and Julian was penetrating, kicking out, and they were rolling. And he called a timeout, and he just kind of taught. No yelling. He just was like, "You go here." And then they just came out, and I just, again, you know, Highland won. Of course, they had a great season, but it was just like, yo, he really was coaching. Like he just went to a zone. And, you know, it's just interesting to see guys that learn from previous experiences that have been coaching for years. You can see them like, you know, you can see that y'all brain spinning. But some of these other coaches, like I said, Freedom South Writing, you know, you'll forget about them because they're kind of in that weird location between Champ and Patriot and Loudon. And Loudon, I feel like, has like 14 high schools.
And what's the Freedom South Writing coach name? I don't know him.
Anthony Leon.
Anthony Leon? Okay.
Yeah.
How long has he been there? Since Powers left?
Ever since Powers left.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, I haven't seen them since Powers left.
Yeah.
Man, I'm telling you, like, it just every time, man. Like you look and we'll only be up by like 9. And that's what like Tay and all them. I think they're going to beat them by like 9.
I thought you were going to lose that game.
Well, Isaiah, like like I'm telling you, I don't know what it is, dog, but they just play a certain way, and their kids like play really hard. He just doesn't have the same level of athletes that we have.
Yeah. Man, like, played him before too?
He was gonna have one.
Nah, I didn't play him, nope. I haven't played Freedom South. I watched him though, because I think one of the games we were supposed to play him last year. But I did watch it, and you asked from the, you know, watching on film, you kind of like, how they beat such and such. Yeah, how they beat such and such. So, and then when, you know, to hear Sherman talk about it, then I know why now. Because I watched the mission.
I'm telling you, man, like I said, I can give people their credit when they do something, man. He's like one that I always say, like, you got to be on your stuff. And he is working. He's over there. He makes changes when he needs to make changes. And I can appreciate that. Especially, like you said, I remember what it was like when we didn't have all these guys that everybody wanted. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I remember that.
So I'm glad you said that, because that brings me to a question I have here on my card. And I want all of y'all to answer this. How do you protect the kids from themselves? And I don't mean off the court with, you know, unfortunate incidents where guys get caught up or being at the wrong party. That's been going on since sports has been around. I'm talking about the new age with, you know, college kids have agents and they have trainers in high school, and it's big business in high school. In Virginia, ironically, the VHSL, who hasn't approved the shot clock, approved a few years ago for kids to get NIL. So as soon as that season ends, you got guys saying, hey, look, man, go try out for this AAU team, and then we're going to talk about going here to this school. You know, look, man, I know you over at Potomac. I like Ant. That's my man. But you need to be getting more shots, bro. You need to be looking at. Look, it's going on.
Yeah, that ain't my man, then.
Yeah. So look, no, well, you got the floor right now, Ant. You have a program. All three of y'all have a program, and there's other programs all the way from the 7-5 to Dinwiddie to the 804, where as soon as that season ends, and even many times throughout the season, kids is doing this. You know what I'm saying? Right. They're getting this, and they're hearing this, and their parents are hearing this. I've seen high school coaches go to games who sit behind a bench and recruit. I've seen a high school coach talk to parents and players at halftime with all four of my eyes. And I'm like, bro, this is even when Isaiah was playing. I'm like, damn. I remember my son, they were in his DMs, and I was like, nope, not happening. But that's me. I'm old school with that. New school with some stuff. And how do you protect your players, man? How do you protect them?
I think it's having open communications with the parents and then having communication with the players. And then it goes back to that, what we were talking about earlier is keeping your gym open, right? How can we do the same thing that the private schools are doing, and letting kids understand, like, and everybody's going to see this. Like, the true thing is, like, there's people are selling you dreams, right, and saying that this is going to happen and that's going to happen. Let's be real. Right now, the most public school kids are probably Division III. You got some kids that are more talented, but Division III JUCO kids, NAIA kids, right? And then you have some that do slip off into the D2 and D1. So the transfer portal is huge. So stop lying and telling these kids that you're going to do this because you want a talented kid from Patriot or you want a talented kid from Hayfield or Potomac or whatever it may be. So the way I try to protect my guys is just open communication. Like I said, right now I can't be off. I have to be in the gym, so that they're working, because they'll use that as an excuse. Well, you can come here, we get up more shots, we in the gym 7 days a week, you got a personal trainer. So, I know all these three programs right here have everything that a private school has, or what another coach may be, telling. May not be a private school, could be a regular school, just a public school. But I know for a fact that Lowe's and Rivers both have weight trainers, and I know that those guys are in the gym. I know that those guys are pushing information out about their kids. I know those guys are doing all those little things that the other coaches and AAU coaches try to sit there and sell these guys just so that they can be good for the moment, or for for AAU coach for that day. So I think you got to try to get those kids to trust and believe, and it also just goes with understanding. Like, you got to have some type of understanding as a parent. Now, you can't just drop your kid off and just leave. You got to understand who you're dropping your kid off to, who he's working with, what's being happening, who he's training with, because everything will be sold to your kid. Even after they have a great year at your school, they'll turn around and say, hey, man, I'm going to go recruit. And like, why would you leave? You're already doing everything that you could possibly do at a school that is playing high-level basketball. We may not be WCAC, we may not be a private school program, but it's still high-level basketball. And let's be honest, you're picking up all your recruits throughout the live periods on AAU. You're picking up those. That's when you're picking up everything. It's not when you with this coach or that coach. We're pushing your information, and we're giving out your information even more. And when we do have our live periods, we're doing those things. But you're traveling the world on your AAU team. So if you want to make it to the next level, it's not the high school that you're at. What AAU team are you? Are you playing right here locally at Mount Vernon, or at the little back gym down there in Fairfax County? Are you doing that? Or are you in these circuits where these college coaches are able to see you in front of college coaches? So the high school, to me, sometimes will make a difference, but sometimes it doesn't matter what high school you're at, right? Now, certain schools I understand, but if you're at one of the top programs that right here on this that's having this conversation, you're fine at the high schools. Now it's your time to put the body of work in, and then where you're at. So you can't go from playing for Patriot and then going headed over to, one of these backyard house leagues thinking that you're going to be recruited. It don't work like that.
Yeah.
Los, I'm curious to hear your answer because, I looked at your team. You have a historic, legendary team. You had the 2 back-to-back championship. What y'all won, like 50-plus games in a row? I was at the game when y'all lost y'all only game that year. It was the Governor's Challenge. And I think y'all lost in overtime or right at the end because I was on the other side with we talked that day. And I told you, I said, hey, man, you're going to get talent, but you're never going to have a group like that. When you take a look back, I know you and Sherman and Ant and the rest of the coaches are looking forward, moving forward every year, evolving. But at the same time, that was a special group, man, because a handful of those guys could have left. I'm sure there were people in Greg's ear. You're talking about a guy that playing in that new world. He had, 9 D1 offers and maybe more than that. And he stuck with you. But that's a rare group because we are in a very, like Ant said, Coach Mill said, these kids are everywhere, open runs and on the circuit. Hey, come here. We get this. We get shoes and bags. How do you protect your kids from misinformation? Because I know none of y'all hold kids back. Because I've seen y'all, hey, man, if that's what you want to do, good luck to you. Still promote their tweets. But how do you protect them sometimes from misinformation?
Man, honestly, just to talk about, the groups that I've had, nobody wants my kids early on. It's not like they're after my kids early. It's after they start seeing them succeed with us. Now all of a sudden they want them. No one will ever take a David King as a freshman. I'm the only one that had the foresight to say, "Oh, this kid is going to be able to help our team win." I'm the only one. No one else would see a guy with goggles, barely 6 feet at the time when he was a freshman, and go and put him on varsity. So I've just been able to have that type of eyes, of seeing talent within my own building, and then we develop them and they become real basketball players. And you take a kid like DJ Holloway, no one wanted DJ Holloway at first, but DJ Holloway gradually got better, and better, and in his senior year, he state player of the year. And now people want to recruit him. So it'd be stuff like that. It's not like guys, people didn't want Greg at first. They saw the hype, but they didn't think he was good. Now, going into his junior year, he averaging 20-something points a game. He dunking on people. Now New World wants him. New World didn't want him when he was a sophomore. That's the type of stuff that be happening. They wait till they get hot, and then they want him. And then now New World is saying that's their guy. I don't even want to put New World saying New World like that, but that's just how stuff go.
That's how it is. Yeah.
But that's the game though. That is the game. That's the way the game is being played right now, or how it's always been. But I don't feel like
parents. Do you talk to parents?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but for me, I don't even care. For real, I show support to my kids. I go out to the games, every game that I could possibly go to when I'm available, and I actually genuinely care for each one of the guys on my team.
Exactly.
And I think that's the relationship that we've had and the relationship that we built over the years. They want to stay, and I put them in front of college coaches. I put them in front versus if you say you're that good, let's go play them and let's beat them. And if we're good enough, we do it. If not, then it's a lesson that we learn together. So that's how I always carry it with my teams. I keep it funky with them 100% of the time, and that's just how it is. So I don't fear losing a kid. I really don't. Because I feel like if I end up losing the kid, it just is what it is. I have to eventually replace them anyway. So now I'm just trying to figure out if I lost a kid in Phoenix Card, I still have to figure out who's going to take those minutes and be able to produce what Phoenix produced for us when he was a sophomore. So it just is what it is when it comes to those things. But I don't think about it. I truly don't think about losing a kid at all.
Yeah. Sherman.
Yeah, just piggybacking off of what they say, man. It's listen, kids leave, kids will stay. It is what it is, and everybody got their own story, and probably 98% of the time you're going to be the villain in that person's story. And whether you were or not, and I've never tried to convince a kid to stay. I just tried to give them the best advice they needed for the decision they needed to make.
Right.
The situation we had during the season, like 2 weeks before the district tournament, you got guys recruiting kids off of teams. And then, the kid Jameson Ross, he decided he was going to go. Now, I wasn't mad at the kid. The adults, I questioned the decision making and the timing. But at the same time, you could poll 10 coaches and 9 of them probably said that kid's going to end up transferring at some point anyway. So it wasn't the shock of the transferring. It was just the timing of it. And it was like, something don't seem right about this. And that's the part that made it an interesting situation to come to find out later. You got coaches, and we talked about guys working out in gyms. These guys were going to work out at their gym. You think at any point in time it wasn't hey man, you should be over here with us. We got these guys in the gym. We got this.
Yep.
So we got somebody that goes from starting to playing at the end of games.
Well, that's why I asked Los a few minutes ago, do you talk to the parents? I know all three of y'all deal with them, but you have your policies and procedures and protocols. But I feel like, and I'm going through it now. I'm going through it, this is my middle child out of my 3. And I'm on all these visits, talking to D1 and D2 coaches, and I'm starting to realize, like, you better go where you celebrate it, and you better be college ready. You better be developed and mentally.
That's like you said. It's the biggest thing, man. Like it's like, and you can attest this because I talk to you about this stuff all the time. You know what I'm saying? Even when Isaiah was playing there, and it's the same thing. I don't mind talking to parents about what we can do to help them get to their goal. I'm just not going to talk to you about how I'm going to coach them in that process. I'm just not going to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, you want to talk about what their goal is and what, as far as the logistics, what needs to happen, cool. I'm not going to talk about how much they plan, how much they get to shoot, where they shooting from, and what you think should be happening on the team. I'm just not. I'm trying to make the best decision, not only for what's best for your child, but what is best for this program. And one thing, I had a conversation one day with a parent. I said, listen, as much as you worried about your kid, because that's fine, I get it. It's your kid. I advocate for your kid. I'm worried about that 35 of them and how I'm going to get them to grow and mesh and get to where they want to be. Are these freshmen going to be able to grow to get to JV? Are these kids on JV going to help us on varsity? Am I making the varsity kids better? Are we getting them in position to get recruited and have opportunities? Are they improving their game so when they get to that level, they're ready to contribute? And that's, like I said, the winning is great. That's a bonus. But, we talk about this all the time. The amount of kids that we can get to go play and contribute at those levels is what's important. And the unfortunate part is that a lot of these kids and parents, and I'm not saying in my program, but just overall, but I've had a few, they take it like personal. Like you're trying to crush somebody's dream.
Right.
It's like, brother, listen, I'm trying to tell you the truth about where you at and where you need to go. And that might not be what you want to hear. You might not be playing at the level you think you need to be playing at to get to where you need to go. But I don't think you're ready for it. And that's how I'm running this show. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've had people cuss me and say the most crazy, insane thing about my kids. Just because they kid playing on a team that they think that they shouldn't be playing on.
Hold on. What you mean curse you? Like in your face?
Not like in my DMs, not like to my face. Because they ain't about that. This is, you see me somewhere and then you wait an hour after the fact to write me a DM. This is the type of people we talking about. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't going to say your name because nobody want to hear your name anyway. But this is the type of people we talking about. So, and it ain't got nothing to do with anything because I ain't treated the son bad.
Right.
Like, and he played on the team he's on.
But this is what I always want to ask, or you, like, as a parent, it's, and I have a 5-year-old son, right? And Sherman, I know you have a young one, and then Los, you have a young a daughter. But like in the process of getting your kid ready for any sport, right? Have you put in the time out of the week, besides when they're with us, to make sure that your child is college ready or prep or high school ready for when they're in middle school? Have you spent that ample amount of time with rebounding, working with ball handling, getting him a personal trainer? Have you put in that time to say that it doesn't matter where my child go, I know he's going to make it to the next level because I see it in him, I see him working. Like, do parents put in that time, right? Because like that goes back to they always get mad at us, right? We're always, when they win it's because of the kids, when they lose it's because of the coaches. But does any parent sit and say, you know what, I put in so much time with my son, now I can go in and curse or get on Coach Rivers about what's taking place? But have you put on your time? Like, do you look in the mirror? Like, we got to look ourselves in the mirror and say that, I know my child in their training Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. He's with Coach Mills, the other days, and then we're back in the gym. We let him rest on Sunday or whatever day you may pick. But are you putting in that time to, put your son in the right? Are you putting your son in the right positions, or you're just doing those things because what if someone told you? Like, how much research are you doing? And are you really watching the games to say, oh, you know what? My son shouldn't be playing because he can't dribble and chew gum at the same time right now.
Right.
Well, I think that's why I said I posed the question with people, a collective group of people every year in multiple sports, football, basketball, even baseball, whatever, that are misinformed with a combination of certain trainers and social media.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one thing I learned very quickly with my 3 children, even when my career was going on, I tried very hard and very diligently not to compare myself to someone else.
Right.
Because their journey was different. My son and I talk about it all the time. He's very close with Tay Barber, and they grew up together. I coached them for 5 years together on AU, but they're 2 different players and 2 different people. Even especially in the Northern Virginia DMV area, where you have so many talented guys like, Greg Jones, Isaiah Abraham, and all of that. So we focused on what's your journey. But that's humility upon myself and my wife. I think the problem is, as Los mentioned earlier, man, shout out to your sister, Los. It's good that she protects you from that nonsense, because I see so many crazy posts and surveys and voting and people commenting. I'm like, man, are y'all really qualified to say all this stuff? Where's your credibility? Who are you? I'm like, who are you? I'm like, who? I don't even know y'all. I mean,
it'd be wild though. Like, everybody got an opinion. Everybody's an expert, and they should have did this, and why didn't they do that? Like,
you said something.
Go ahead, those.
You said something like about, like, you actually get it. What you said about your son, about not comparing, and like he's basically running his own. He's running his own race.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In a world where everyone does a whole bunch of comparing to, you can compare him to every 6'7" kid that's in the DMV.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why is he not being recruited at the level that such and such is being recruited at? Like, it seems like you and you put that into your son, and that, now he's seeing the benefits of everything that he's been working on. It just took a year later.
And we never talked about this as much as me and you talked, Dwight. But Isaiah could have been the poster child for all that's negative about it. Because if you look at it, we got this kid that got all this skill, all this potential when he was younger, right? He plays and he starts and he's playing well. For me, you're a different type of parent. Right after he finished in 10th grade, I'm not even gonna say 9th grade when he wasn't playing, right? But 10th grade, he start to grow a little bit. It could have been like, all right, let's go transfer here. You know what I'm saying? Because how many times have we seen that? Like, kids like that, they go, well, it didn't work there. Let me go transfer here.
So
let me try this. Right? You see what I'm saying? So it's like. And I'm not saying that, like, parents are wrong for whatever decision they want to make. That's what you want to do with your child. That's fine. But the benefit that he has had from getting consistent voices, you know what I'm saying? Everybody having the same plan, the same mission, going in the same direction. And and I know that I'm biased when I talk about this. You watch the development of him. If he did it any other way, he wouldn't be as good as he is right now. You know what I'm saying? Now it's not saying he wouldn't have had any success and that we need to get all the credit. I just think that his prolonged success is going to be more so than what it could have been if he did all the bouncing around and let me go sit on a bench at a private school and all this other type stuff.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. And I will just add, I think that's the whole point of my question, is because coaching isn't a lost art. I think being patient is a lost art. Because when I look at so many talented players from each one of you guys' program, it's so funny. Los mentioned David King. Isaiah met David King when they were young at the University of Georgetown basketball camp. He said, "Yo, Dad," he called me. He was like, "Yo, it's this dude here. And he gets every rebound. He plays so hard." And, he was just like, yo, I think he knew his name. And then when they played against each other in the fall, he was like, yo, that's the dude I was telling you about. And then you see what he became. And there's so many guys like that. Guzman at Potomac, when you guys had that epic regional final game a few years ago, where you guys kind of jumped up on Anthony and them, and then Guzman scored 18 straight points. And I was sitting there like, yo, this is insane. But he wasn't that player the year before. He showed flashes. I just feel like the two things I prided myself in is to find a coach where I could just sit back, because I'm not a talker. I don't coach from the bleachers. And also that a situation where he could be developed. And I think, that patience is needed, but it's not seen often, because I think people want to fast forward that process and they want to compare, because it is so many, especially where we are. I know I'm beating this to death, but we are in such a talent-rich area, and you can lose sight of, like, well, Grant Polk, a kid I coached Grant Polk for 3 years, and then he lost some weight, had a growth spurt. Now he's 6'7", 6'8". He's at the University of South Carolina. I don't take credit. I love it too, because I don't take credit for that. He did all the things that we had talked about once, and other coaches told him. He started off with me, went to Nova Cavs, and then he went to New World, and he just had a great career. And he was patient, and he started off a few years in public school. And I just think that's Grant Polk's story.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Everybody's story different, like you said.
Everybody's story is different.
And so it's hard for you to tell people, well, you shouldn't do that. That's the wrong decision. Well, that's what I said. I never even did that. And I know that there's some weirdos out there that think that I wish ill for Jameson. I want him to go there and kill it. I hope he, getting all the stuff like Nate got and all that type stuff. I just didn't think that it was a good decision to do it right then. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it wasn't from a selfish, like you need to be here for us sort of thing. Because, he's a good basketball player, but we got guys. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And a guy that ended up stepping into his starting spot ended up being an all-district kid. So I wasn't worried about that piece. I just was like, man, I just want you to do it and grow, and you're going to have this playoff run, you're going to have this whatever. Like in my head, I'm thinking all this stuff, and, and people think because you try to give them that. I always joke around with young dudes now because they love saying you hating on something when you disagree.
Right. But that's the thing. That's the thing.
Like, bro, I'm not hating on you. I'm just trying to give you another viewpoint.
Right.
Think about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, or I'm going to tell you I don't think that's a good idea. You don't have to agree with me. That's fine.
But that's the thing I be telling them too, Sherman. Is like, that's why I said what I said in the beginning. Is like, are you just making a decision, or are you educated on what you're getting ready to do? Right? Because we've known, we've all the public school guys that had the opportunity to play at the next level. But are you educating yourself? Are you educating your kid? Are you doing it because it's hot right now?
Right.
Or are you doing it because, let me see if I can jump on this train. This train is moving fast, so let me try to get up there while the train is going fast. Then realize, dang, boom, it comes to a complete stop, and you don't know what to do. So that's why I said, just educate yourself. Whatever choice you make or whatever decision is, that's your choice. It's not going to hurt us, but just make sure you know what you're doing, because at the end of the day, you're going to have to either come back to us or you're gonna find somewhere else to go. And then that also leads into you're creating something that we see now in the transfer portal. I'm not happy here, or this coach ain't doing it right here. Let me jump here. Let me go from here to jump there.
I've called coaches at places to tell them about a kid that is looking to transfer. Like, hey, listen, this kid's pretty good. I have, it's so funny the narrative they do because they want all of us to be these bitter coaches that treat kids bad, and that's why they had to leave. Maybe it's just because they just wanted to go.
So as a coach,
right.
So you're saying there's a coach. So you're saying, Sherman, that if you got a kid who you know is looking or he's leaving, you're like, hey, I'm gonna call the coach. Because I'm gonna put this out here on this episode. You
Absolutely.
did say the year y'all went 26-1 and lost to Battlefield. You lost 2 good players, especially the one kid, Chase
2
Nelson.
kids that started for them.
Yeah, and you called Randy Biggs and said, hey, heads up, they're coming to you. So you're saying there's a code if you're going to lose a kid to...
I just think, like, man, if a kid calls me or is fishing around or something like that and I know about it, I'm going to tell you. And it doesn't... And on the other side of it, I'm not going to take it personal. And that's the problem, man. Like we said, we talk about... We ain't just going to point the finger. There's a lot of coaches out here that take it like personal. Like, how dare you leave my program? Like, bro, what? Like, somebody offered you this much more money tomorrow, you would be gone. Like, keep quiet. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, don't treat the kid or the family weird because they don't want to play for you anymore. Like, it is what it is. Yeah. I'm still going to coach you the same. I'm still going to look out for you the same. And the crazy part about it, what they don't even understand is we probably already knew about it for 3 months. You know what I'm saying? And you just now figuring out that we know about it, thinking we going to be weird because you try to keep something secret that somebody already told me.
Yeah. Well, look,
so it's the communication piece. I can't remember who said it. I think it was Mills said it. We just talk. Same thing.
Yeah. Well, speaking of money, I do have a few more questions before we wrap up. And this is good because I even if my son wasn't being recruited in the middle of this, man, I am amazed of the money now with the NIL. It is, I ain't hating, but me and my cousin Mike were talking. We just were fantasizing. I was like, bruh, can you imagine? I know you would have made crazy money.
So I'm right now, that time machine get made, I'm in that drink.
All 3 of you guys played, and I'm not going to ask y'all how much y'all would have made. That would, whatever, because some guys get a little crazy with it. But on a serious note, man, the rumors are flying. You hear different things. And, so even Los, your guy, I posted, he left and then he came back and I'm getting messages, Greg, I heard he got 900. I heard he got, and I'm just thinking, regardless of what's true or not, there's a lot of money involved. So it's not really about the money I'm asking you guys. There's just more so the new age we live in now with high school basketball and VA getting NIL. Los, I'll let you lead with this one. You have the transfer portal now in high school. That's unofficial, but you have the one in college. And I know all 3 of y'all stay involved with players that leave your program and graduate, but do you guys educate yourself? How do y'all stay connected? Los, like I said, I'll start with you. With the ever-going changes with NIL, hey, don't go there, man, because they just brought in 2 guards, or you should take a look at GW, or you know what, this might be the better. How do you educate yourself, keep yourself abreast of all these changes and not lose yourself in all this stuff with the money and all the attention that it's getting now?
Yeah, I'll speak on a little bit of like Greg's situation and how things with him happen. Like, it's funny to see all the coaches who like kind of liked him, but then love him, all coming back, like doubling back. Like, we need him now. It's just crazy. It's 2 years later, now you need him. It's weird.
Hold on. Vicky, you can get ready. They about to be blowing up your phone in about 2 years too.
Hey, it's weird. I love it though, cause because that just means that kid did what he needed to do to garner that type of attention, and for colleges to really want him and pay him, substantial amount of money for him to come play basketball at their institutions. So I love that aspect of it. But just, man, And dealing with this situation, I learned a lot about how the game is now. It doesn't even matter about going on campus to visit the campus to build that relationship. The first talk is how much you getting paid. It's how much is it? That's the talk now. It doesn't even matter what the campus look like. People are taking 6 figures just to sit on the bench. It's literally just about the money.
Crazy.
It's literally just about the money.
God.
So it's just that's just the time that we in right now. You know, the coaches, they don't necessarily like it, but this is what they got to do in order to get players.
Yeah.
So it's just the game that's being played, and you know, if I'm a kid, you know, try to capitalize on it in a way that is going to be beneficial for you monetary wise and beneficial for you on the court. So, and I feel like Greg got out when he needed to get out because people at his institution did what they needed to do.
You know what's funny about that? I was there. You and I were there to see Greg and Tay and them play when American played Harvard. And I talked to Greg and his mom after the game for an extensive amount of time. And this is me and Sherman talk about this, and you and I talk about this. Maybe it's just me. I really do be happy, like elated when I see players I saw grow up making it. Like I'm not getting anything out of it. I love seeing Greg, who's healthy, and he was cooking this year and playing in the tournament. I'm happy for these kids. I'm not like some of these other undercover haters, so I'm very happy for him. But my last
I love
question,
seeing it all, man. I love.
I know. Well, I
love seeing all the kids.
You called me 2 summers ago and said, "Yo, send me Zay's film." Got some coaching. You did. Doug Craig did. Mike Desmond made a call or 2. Of course, Sherman and me. And I was like, "Oh man, you guys are like part of the difference."
I just feel like, you know, we represent VHSL or Virginia or Northern Virginia. You know, I feel like the talented kids need to have the opportunity to go to college. And if it's not happening, and if Sherman can make a call for one of my kids, I'm gonna send Sherman the film, and vice versa. Like if he needs me to make a call for such and such, like he got a kid Elijah Gaskins right now that's really really good.
Nice.
I like that kid a lot, and I think he has the opportunity to go play college basketball. You don't think every time I'm around a college coach, I'm not bringing Elijah Gaskins' name up? I am. And I still have kids that's on my team that I still need to push. But I'm not a hater. Like, I really want to see all these guys succeed.
Yeah. Speaking of this real quick, before I get to the rest of y'all about this, you mentioned Greg. DJ is in the portal.
Yeah.
Are you involved in guiding?
I'm involved with all my kids.
Okay. Yeah.
So like 9 times out of 10, he's either gonna go to Ferrum or he's gonna go to a JUCO.
Okay.
Like that's what it's looking like right now. Ferrum offered him, and like now they're trying to figure out the financial package. And you know, Ferrum just went D2 this upcoming year.
Yeah.
They're in the Conference of Carolinas, so he's gonna be right back in the same conference.
That's even better.
Yeah, so he gets to get some payback for That's if he goes there. But he's been talking to some D1 JUCOs that he might be interested in too. So we'll see.
Yeah. And what about you, Coach Mills? When it comes to the new age of college basketball, you know, I know you guys have talked extensively about getting your kids exposure, educating parents who are willing to be patient and want to talk realistically. Right. But just for yourself, because I mean, there's a lot of stuff you got to stay abreast on. The changes, not just NIL and the rules, but just, hey man, you know, this coach is no longer at Radford, he's at Longwood, or you know what, this D2 might be your best move. I know you really hell-bent on ODU. Like, how do you educate yourself and stay abreast of all the ever going changes? You know, it's a lot.
Man, I keep ESPN on my computer at work, where it gets all the college coaches changes right around the NCAA tournament time. And I just go in there and I just look. That's one way I do it. And just, you know, I'm obviously talking to these guys. But, you know, you got to go out and just research and see what's going on. Because moves happen overnight. You'll be like, oh, this coach was here. The next you know, oh, he's over here. I thought he just got fired. Now he's with this school. You know, and then I think with the kids, I think it's just telling them the truth. Like, yes, man, I would love to see all of you go play Division I basketball. I would love for you to live out your dream, but it's not going to happen right now because of the transfer portal, right? And Los just talked about his kid going, maybe staying with Division II or going to JUCO. So he's already a grown man, right? So what is that going to do for this 18-year-old, 17-year-old coming out of high school? If he decides to go JUCO, that's going to push my high school kid back. So just trying to give them that educational part, man, and understand that it's not a bad thing either, though. You know, it's okay to go prep, get it together, and let's figure out this. Are you really wanting to play college basketball? Do you have that work ethic? Because once you get to the prep and the JUCO level, now you're talking about a different work ethic.
Yes,
You know, you're not talking about just with us. You're talking about this is because it's a job. It's a job on your end.
Some of them figure that out and they went and
They
done.
don't want to go at all. Like, man, you talking about, you serious about when you talk about being in the gym 6 days a week.
They out.
Yeah, and you got to get up at 6 a.m. to get a workout in. You know, so I mean, I think that, you know, you as coaches, we just got to figure out, just trying to figure out what's best for our kid, and then just hope that they understand that. I understand what somebody may be saying, man, you can go play Division II, man. You used to go play Division I. Like, come on, man. I just had Kenny the Guzman last year, and he went to a Division III school, right? The year before that, Sherman had a really good point guard. You know, Los has really good kids, and those guys didn't get it. Now you come in as a freshman or sophomore, not even the right height or not even the right.
Mad, you ain't playing first.
Right, imagine playing and you think that you're getting ready to go, and just jump from high school there. You know, you're not doing anything here. Like, so I just think kids got to just understand it. And we're not. And don't blame the coach or think we hate you.
They don't pay attention to anything else going on around them. You know what I'm saying? That's the part, and that's it. Is that they not aware of stuff, because you just brought up those examples. But like we talk about, like when we played when we were younger, or like when we were growing up, we really paid attention to those older guys and what they were doing at those levels. And man, this dude, you might have wore a number because of Sir, but listen,
right,
number 5 right now because of Erskine Fox.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, man, I wore it for the rest of my career. I wasn't big number 5 person growing up, but I went and watched them playing 95. I'm like, man, it's the point guard of Potomac. I gotta wear 5. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, Keon Honore was the regional player of the year his senior year. And he went to go play at Virginia Wesleyan.
Had a great career.
Regional player of the year. You know what I'm saying? State championship winning point guard, played in 3 different Final Fours. And he went to Virginia Wesleyan. You telling me you coming in here that you should be playing, and then not only that you were going to go be on scholarship somewhere? Like, listen, I hope you get there, and I'm going to try to help you as much as possible.
Yeah,
let's have some more realistic goals, player and mom and dad. Because now you got these expectations because of these goals that this person is set for themselves, and also because of all the money you have spent over their time trying to help them get that goal. So that pushes it a lot. You know what I'm saying? So
I'm going through it. I'm going through it right now with my 3 guards, with Aaron McFarland, Alex McFarland, and Parker. Like, Parker's situation is probably situated because he has a D2 and then he has 3 D3s that he's looking at. So he's just trying to figure out what's going to work for him. But then on the other side, I got Aaron, who was our player of the year, second runner-up and regional player of the year, and I think he has an opportunity to play Division II basketball. But, and you know, I hate to put it out here like this, but his folks want him to be a Division I basketball player, and it's just not the case. Though I had Braylon Wheeler. How are you trying to tell me you better than Braylon Wheeler? And it took Braylon Wheeler for him to go to a Division I school. Like, he had to go prep in order to go to a Division I school, and then didn't even last. So now he's going 9 times out of 10 he's going to go Division II. But I got this parent telling me that her son is a Division I basketball player at this moment right now, and it's
but it's not.
You are what you're being recruited, unfortunately.
I mean, and that's the thing.
Right.
We don't have a lot. We have a lot of like. Don't get me wrong. We have a lot of talented kids in our area, but the lay of the land right now is not what it used to be. If the lay of the land was what it used to be in '05 and back to 95 and back when everybody was playing, then yes, maybe at 5'10", 5'9", you may be really, but it's just not that. It's just not that.
Mills, you talking about 5'9", 5'10"? Like when we on with Vic, I can tell you right now, UNC Pembroke told me, listen, if this is 10 years ago, I don't even think we think about talking to you.
Oh,
Because it's a 6'7" kid that, listen, I don't care what nobody say, and people can have their opinions. He is a Division I basketball player. I know it. I've seen it enough up close. I've seen him against the level of kids. I'm not saying he would go in and start and dominate and do all that type of stuff. I'm not saying that. But he can be on that level. But the way it is now, they don't look at kids like that as being somebody that's going to help their rosters right now.
Right.
So that is, like I said, it's a domino effect. So kids like that get pushed down to D2 level. Now we're talking about a 6'7" wing that can guard 4 different positions who's at D2 level. So what you think 5'10" shooting 20% is going to be at what level you going to play at? That's not my fault thing. I didn't do that. That's the lay of the land.
Yeah, that's the lay of the land.
And so don't get mad at me like I made it that way and I'm trying to hate on you on your dream of where you're trying to go. I'm trying to get you to understand that this is what it is. If you can surpass that you have to show that first before they're going to give it to you. It ain't based off of your potential anymore and what they think you might do and all that other type of stuff. They just don't operate that way anymore.
I think y'all are spitting right now. I just think a lot of parents don't have the privilege or availability to really get the insight to what you three see every season in the off season, with your kids you have playing at the next level, even what you've seen personally and professionally. Like I'm seeing it even now, and I'm like, man, I'm in these offices and these conference rooms and on the phone, and they're like, hey, we're only taking this many kids, and we're not even looking at high school. These are D2s.
Yeah.
D2s are not looking. And when I go and I'm on X Twitter all the time, and I'm like, look, this guy's a dog, and he had to go here to get there. Even in the championship, Florida and those guys. Yeah, those guys came from mid majors and D2s. The cat from Auburn is from D2. So I don't know. As you guys, I think it sounds. It's just
average age of Auburn starting line was more than OKC.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But
that's why I'm trying to tell my kid. I'm trying to tell my kids now, like, go to the school that loves you. They're the one that's going to actually give you the minutes that you need to play to even level up.
Yeah.
Go to the like, if this is the level that's recruiting you, go there. Go average 12 to 15 points a game, and then go get in the portal and then see, like, create a value for yourself. But don't get in the portal averaging 2 points a game. Don't do that to yourself.
I be talking about the portal. I just is like, bro, like, what are you doing? Like, it's crazy.
Well, Sherman, I thought real quick before we wrap up with your, you guys this year, what you got going on in the off season. Sherman, one thing I thought you did, what I thought was a G move, was you put out there off the rip Elijah Gaskins. You put like a little end of the season highlight film, and you said, "We'll prep going into his post grad year." And so you let it be known. I was sitting back talking to Zay and a few other people about it. I was like, that was a smart move because he let it be known versus all this speculation. Because basically, that is the landscape, as you, Los, and
that's what it is. Yeah.
That is the landscape of it. Matter of fact, I can't say this right now, but a guy you guys know very well text me. He's a coach. Y'all know him very well. He texts me, and he's one of 2 guys that have reached out in the last 2 weeks that wants to talk to me this week on, hey, I want to pick your brain about prepping, your experience. This is a guy that this ain't some guy that needs the prep. This is a guy that we thought was going to go from here to here.
Yeah.
So I've been talking to a lot of coaches about like, hey man, what do you know? What do you think about Master Nothing? What about Mount Zion? And it is the way you're going to go. So you can travel all over Boston and New Jersey and New York and South Carolina to play in these AAU tournaments, but I had a high school coach that you guys know very well. He was going to be on here. He couldn't make it. He said, hey, man, if you're not a top 150 guy, you need to have another path to get to where you want to go. So it's a new world, but I will say you guys are navigating it very well, because that's why I asked that question, because I know when I post this, people pay attention to what all three of y'all say. And I know some people are going to receive it the right way, but some people are going to be like, yeah, man, whatever. My youngin is different,
Yeah. Hey, man, I talk to so many JUCO coaches now, just because.
I'm about to say
that's the world.
No, I'm telling you, they hit me more than anybody now at this point.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, speaking of that, man, because you guys, again, we talked about the recap of your season, and as a coach, you guys are always looking forward. One of my favorite movies is Friday Night Lights, when those guys, Bowie Miles and them, they graduate, and at the end of the movie, the coach is putting up the new depth chart, and he's taking the names off, and he moved. I love that scene, because I was like, damn, he's already looking towards next season. And I know you three guys want to get that chip, you know what I'm saying, and get your guys ready. I know how all three of y'all thinking. Y'all always thinking and looking at film, and that's a good thing. I think that's what makes you guys great coaches, and that's the competitors you are. And I'll start with you, man. I know there's still a lot of offseason left, but what are your plans with your teams, summer league, fall league, players coming back that, I and other people should keep an eye on? What do you got going on?
Well, right now we start up tomorrow for just get back in the weight room, strength and conditioning, get back on the court. I know these two coaches have probably been doing it since, they've probably been doing it for a while, but that's off the subject. That's off the nah. But
hey, this guy right here.
we start back in workouts tomorrow, just get back in the gym, weightlifting, some skill work, some open gym. Then we're gonna get in Sherman's he hit me about being able to get in the Capital Hoops summer league, so we're gonna do that. This summer, from May, I think it ends in June, and then we'll hit the 2 live periods that we have. I think it's down in Henrico this year, I believe. Yeah, so we'll do that, which I'm sure both of these guys will do the same thing. My whole team is coming back. I lost 4 seniors, but I have, a big core of my guys that have been on that team for 4 years that are really developing. I've seen them a little bit over the summer. They're looking good. I think the best thing they probably did is separate from each other, and go to other places and learn different things and have somebody else coach them. So we pretty much have the same group coming back. Got some young guys that were sophomores that'll be juniors now, and then I got a bunch of juniors that are going to be seniors. Obviously, Amani was one of the big ones. Harlem Lions was one of our big ones, and then all my juniors. Medwin and Ryden and Kong and Braden. Those guys will be seniors. So those guys will be very, very mature. Headed into their senior year, and then my young guys, Aiden. And then Miles, who was young, and then with us, one thing I do know about Potomac is that we'll wake up and somebody will be transferred in, like that.
I was gonna say you're gonna be all right.
so it's a blessing. It's a blessing, but
it's amazing how that housing work in Dumfries, don't it?
Yeah.
It's amazing, man.
I'm too far from Route 1, man. These dudes just be having like, oh hey, what's up? 6'3".
I just gotta make sure I keep coaches, from bothering with my kids, and just allow them kids to enjoy their summer and come on back. Like I said, Monty's big names. I'm sure everybody's knocking and tapping at
They
it.
probably gonna be, yeah. I know they probably gonna be after him, right?
Yeah, they already are. But let's just call me if you want to talk about it. We can talk about it. My man brought up, we can just have a serious conversation. Let's talk. I can't hold the kid back, but just call me if you got any interest in any of my kids. My phone number ain't changed.
Yeah, right. You ain't gotta be sneaky.
Yeah, the number ain't changed. So
Weird. Those are weird.
yeah, we got a good solid group coming back, man, and it's it's gonna be. I think the summertime is really fun, man. It's gonna be a fun summer, and then everything works up going into the spring. So, I look forward to it, man, and just seeing the development of this group going into, next November.
No doubt, man. Hey, Sherman, what you got popping over at Patriot? I know you got Elijah. He's a talk of the town, but
Yeah, I mean,
what else you got going on?
listening to Mills, it sound a lot like how I describe what we got, man. We had 3 seniors. I got a bunch of my juniors that were really good. And Elijah, obviously, you spoke about, who, got regional player of the year. And then we got Sean, who was an all-region kid. Carson was an all-district kid. Kai Wilcox, obviously, it seemed like he'd been there forever.
Forever.
He'll be a senior.
Is he a senior this year?
He'll be a senior next year.
Next year?
And, right. And then you got those sophomores that contribute the big one. I think, Christian Cole is going to really be that one that has that jump that everybody's like, man, where'd this kid come from? But, you could say that about the other ones too. You had Jaden Palmer, that's super good. And if we're not talking about Elijah Gaskins being regional player of the year, we're talking about Jaden Palmer being that type of kid. And then Jeremiah Parrish is another one. We got, some kids that didn't play a whole lot. Jason Lash is a kid that I think is going to be someone that does something during the season. They're like, where did that kid come from? A junior that didn't get a whole lot. And then, we had some sophomores that got pulled up. Pierce Gaskins, Lucas Argueta, and Chris, point guard, kid named Tim Odell, really good wing.
Yeah.
And then we got some other kids that are going to compete. Kid named Sebastian Daniel that was a freshman on JV last year. So, I've always been, grateful for the fact that we got a lot of really good kids that are going to compete for spots and minutes. A lot different boat than we were last summer, where we were trying to figure out who was going to play. Now they know what is expected, so I don't have to feel like I'm giving myself a heart attack every day trying to explain it to them. So
That's a fact.
a lot different in that aspect. So, and then also, we're going to be at the Capital Hoop Summer League, which, it's hard to say that there's a better summer league in the country than that one from a high school standpoint.
Yes, Lord.
That's a fact.
That's the truth.
You got that one. You got the live periods. I'm glad that they added another one for us that is local, so that'll be good. And there'll be a couple of things that we might look at and think about doing. Just wait as many games we can get together and play and get kids exposure at the same time, which is great. Now they give us that option in high school, and then we'll lift and do that stuff working out wise, and get kids in the gym when we can. We didn't really talk about it, but y'all know that AAU teams are practicing 3 times a week now?
Ow.
Oh, sheesh.
Like, bro, what?
Yeah.
What y'all doing?
Save that for part 2. Save that for part 2, because I know. Because I have that on my notes.
Because I'm trying to now start making calendars and schedules for our all-season stuff. Because I try to take off at least a month and then some change after the season. Because once we get going, we going. You know?
Yeah.
And so, and I want them to have that time, like you said, like Mills said, is to get away, do your own thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is time for them to be selfish. Like I say it all the time, AAU is not like, go, this is my team and we're this. Like, it's time for you to go think about getting yourself better as an individual. Hopefully that fits in with what your team is trying to do.
That's a fact.
We need you to get better as an individual for what we're going to try to do during the extended months that we have during the season as far as trying to win that. And hopefully, the AAU situation kind of meshes with that. And we got kids that are playing in different places, a good amount of them in same places together, and good situations for them as individuals, but also good AAU programs that they're playing for. So that's the biggest thing. We were able to get Elijah, the opportunity to play with a shoe circuit team. So that's a great thing. So that's now the third or fourth year in a row that we've had somebody with that from our program. That's a big deal. So, I just, as long as we can keep growing and getting better, I like our chances next year to try to get back there and not embarrass ourselves at VCU. But it's a lot of games you got to play, and everybody's good. And I feel like every time we bring back everybody and everybody's good, somebody brings back everybody and be good. So bring back everybody and being good. Dwight Robinson down Lansdowne, bringing back his whole damn team. It's like, I just need for one of y'all to not do that the year that I bring back my whole team.
Los brought back a legendary team. Then he had the one guy that was in a documentary with his mom. Right. He came from West Coast or whatever. I said, bro, man.
I know House is still mad at Los to this day about that.
And I had nothing to do with that.
Nothing to do with that. He said he wanted to go there. And
listen, I'm mad too because he made the game winner in the first game. And he led y'all to scoring in the state championship.
Yeah, man. Man, what they say in Karate Kid, we should have swept the leg. Sweep the leg.
Let's all I like our group. I think that they learned a lot this past year. And they figure out at the end how hard it is to win when you get to that level. So hopefully they can grow off of that and get better from that. And like I said, hopefully individually we can help them get better with their skills. And then when we go into the fall, getting ready for the season, is when we start worrying about, getting better as a team. But, offensively in the off season, I don't run any plays or make them do things. I just say share the ball and cut.
That's what me and him, that's for another episode. Me and Sherman going heads about that. I'm like, Sherman, run some. Like,
I'll wait. I keep jumping in here. My bad. Right.
No, it's all good. We're going to talk about that again when I do the interviews at Hayfield this year. Los, what you guys got going on, man? Who you got coming? Any surprises? What's the plans in the offseason?
Tell the truth, dog. Tell the truth.
First I'm gonna talk about Cam Prosper because that's by far the best prospect I have on my team coming back, and I'm just happy that he moved into our area, and I'm happy that at least it's looking like that he's not gonna move over to the St. James. So it's looking like he's gonna stay, or if he don't get pulled, he's gonna stay. He's turning himself into a legit recruit. The level, is up to the college coaches. But I feel like he'd be a really good 3-and-D basketball player at whatever level, whether it's D1 or D2, or if he has to drop all the way down. But I think that the way that he's playing right now, he's going to make some noise this summer and hopefully earns some scholarship offers. So you got him. He was an all-region player on a team that had 3 different first teams. So we had 4 first team all-region guys, and he was one of the 4. He's the one that's coming back. So hopefully he could be our player of the year next year. Then you got a kid named Landon Judy, who's he started for us pretty much the whole season. Just can't, he's a defender and just hit wide open shots. But now we're gonna be looking forward to him doing a little bit more, a lot more actually. He's gonna have to handle the ball more, gonna have to score the ball a lot more because we got to find points somewhere, and I think that he's gonna be the guy that's gonna be able to do it. You got Rodney Carmichael, Coach Carmichael's son from Chantilly. Actually tore his meniscus, so he's out right now for about 6 to 8 weeks. And he did it like at a practice, so it didn't even happen in an AAU game, just like a random situation. I was so mad because I'm down in Hampton and I see my man in crutches. I was like, oh, come on.
God.
And I'm over here talking to college coaches. I was like, yo, I got this kid named Rodney Carmichael. Go check him out. And then they play next. And I see my man coming in with crutches. Yo, I was blown. But hopefully he gets back by June 5th maybe. Hopefully, and have a good week of practice, and then I can try to throw him out there during a live period to get some minutes. And he got Ashton Pratt's little brother, who's actually taller than Ashton. His name is Aiden, 6'2" guard. He was a sophomore this year. Didn't get a lot of playing time because of who we had on our team. But when we put him in, he did a really good job. And looking forward for him to take that next step. And where Ashton was like the shooter, Aiden, he's more the combo guardish, get downhill, finish, long arms defensively, and actually like sneaky bouncy too. So if we're going to be good, it's going to be because Aiden has took that next step to be a lead guard, and I don't want to have heartburn when my guards bring the ball up the court, not knowing if we're going to get into something or if we're going to turn that thing over. So if he can get to that point, I'm going to be very, very happy. And then you got it's another Cage. So it's the last Cage. This kid's name is Grant Cage. Last of four. He's a little bit smaller than Parker, but big heart, man. Plays hard, extremely hard, and as all Cages do, they can shoot the shit out the basketball. So
no doubt.
Looking forward to he's not even playing AAU this year. He's working out with my assistant coach, Coach Tim, and he's just putting in the work so that he can be ready to go when it's time. And he wants to start for us. So he was like, man, he felt like that because he actually played for higher level last year. He felt like last year he was playing like spot minutes, so it wasn't like it wasn't, not saying it wasn't good for him, but he was like, I'd rather just work out. And then when it's time to play summer league, just be ready for summer league. So that's what he's doing for his sophomore year. Again, everybody's doing different things, but I love the fact that he actually has a plan and he put this plan together himself and he's sticking to it. And he's in the gym with my assistant coach, 2-3 times a week, just getting it in. And I'm seeing him look better. Like we had spring break camp, and I'm seeing him looking extremely well on the court. So I like to see that. And I got a kid named Josh Brown that's going to come in and do some things for us. He didn't play at all last year, but yeah, man. I'm looking forward to that, and you never know who's going to move in.
Yeah.
There you go. Talk about the real stuff.
Let me say one more kid because I know I always forget somebody. Noah Conrad is a huge part of what we do.
Is that the higher level? Is he playing a higher level?
Yeah. Him, Sean, and Carson supposed to be.
He like Elijah.
Yeah. I've seen.
No, that's Sean. Sean. Noah's the other light skinned one.
Hey, he got like 4 kids that they all
got the same haircut. But Noah's a kid that is improving offensively. He already talks incessantly on defense, takes charges, does all the little stuff. But he's a very versatile kid that is going to be, he can play multiple positions. We always seem to have a kid like that, and that's kind of what Noah's going to be as far as that next year.
Yeah. Noah's a dog. And I tell you what, you're right, Los, because the housing market, like in Dumfries, is always accessible. It's always, I'm like, yo, and I'm like, man, boy, it must be great real estate agents up there, boy. Where I was like, I remember when y'all did a ring night ceremony when Patriot played y'all to start the season when y'all were defending y'all chip. And I was like, man, I don't remember. I knew the coach. I was like, what are these guys? But you know what? On a serious note, as I end this show, and I want to thank y'all, man. I wanted y'all to get on, man, because I said we had a lot to talk about. And when I post this, I'll tag y'all and let everybody know. But I thank y'all for jumping on because I want to say this. And I'm saying this. This is Dwight Vick, not you guys saying this. This is me saying this. You guys do so much for the kids in the community that we didn't talk about today. Y'all sacrifice, travel all across Virginia, D.C., and Maryland, even beyond. You miss certain things sometimes with your family to invest into other kids. And the VHSL and most Prince William Fairfax don't pay you what you deserve. And I say that. So I'm saying thank you. We were in this joint for almost 2 hours and it was worth every minute. I appreciate you. I'm speaking on behalf of a lot of players you guys have coached and have yet to coach, and a lot of parents who I talk to about y'all behind y'all back in a good way. So I appreciate y'all, man. There's no such thing as a coincidence. This is God's will when you meet people and they come into your life. I appreciate everything y'all do. because coaching now is so much different. It's always been a challenge to coach sports, high school sports, but there's so many external factors now that make it very difficult. So I appreciate each and every one of you, and even some of the other coaches I'm going to have on or have had on. So with that being said, I'm going to do my sign off. Thank y'all, everybody, for joining the Vicktory Life movement and watching this podcast. And like I say every episode, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, make sure you have a positive impact and you leave a great legacy. I'm host Dwight Vick, owner and founder, on behalf of Hayfield High School Basketball, Potomac High School Basketball, and Patriot High School Basketball. We all say thank you for watching. Subscribe and like and share. Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate you.
You should.